Okay, start. It's all yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Jaeweon Kim. On April 13, I saw an interview with the Japanese government that they would release radioactively contaminated water stored in a storage tank in Fukushima nuclear power plant. However, I expressed my deep regret to the decision of the Japanese government. First of all, the main point of this interview is there is no alternative to solving this problem. The storage capacity of the tank has already reached its limit, and the radiation removal technology is too expensive. So in the end, there is only one way to release it into the sea. However, is that the only solution? There can be other ways, such as creating additional storage tank. The second is the question of safety. According to Tokyo Electric Power's analysis, only 30% of the contaminated water passes the standard level, and the remaining 70% of the contaminated water depicted high-risk radioactive material. Thus, discharging nuclear contaminated water into the sea could be a great threat to humanity and the environment. Third, it is a matter of consideration and trust. The previous announcements by the Japanese government did not consider neighboring country and the international community. Furthermore, the safety standards themselves are judged and determined by Japan's own committee. Considering this, I wonder if the Japanese government's decision was considered, concerned, and cared about all the relation between nature and the environment and the relationship between neighboring country and the international community. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kim Ye-jin. Great job. Okay, next presenter would be Jiwan, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's all yours.
Hello, I'm Jiwan Kim. The most important thing, the title, I put not Tina issue. We considered a plan for releasing wastewater, which I thought the most well summarizing contents of the letter. Contents are made up of intro, body, and conclusion. In intro part, I briefly introduced the Fukushima nuclear accident and later expressed concern and opposition towards Japan's wastewater discharge plan. Here I put care, concern, choose to introduce the situation of now. In body part, I explain four main reasons for opposition. The first is tritium, which cannot be decomposed with outputs, a nuclear removal facility. Here I use fact to distinguish what is fact and not, and I brought the problem with the concept of modernity, that means seeing nature and people separately. The second one is the problem of Japan's limited perspective with Tina issue. The third one is already a pervasive objection in Japan, neighboring countries, and finally all over the world. I use some statistics to show how the fact is going. Lastly, Chernobyl nuclear power accident, when Russian released nuclear wastewater into the ocean, Japan was the most resistant and sensitive country. Finally, in conclusion part, I told that Japan's situation is not just catastrophe, but rather a choice of crisis. So you can change the crisis into opportunity. Also, I finished the letter by emphasizing once again for Japan to reconsider your plan through having various perspectives of environment rather than just being tied to only one system. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. Great. Jiwan. And the next presenter would be KMG 2015.
Yes, Professor.
Okay, thank you. Yours.
Okay. Hello, my name is Mingong Kim. I concerned about Jeju Island and East Sea's water pollution problem, so I wrote the letter to Japan. We are dealing with the discharging of tritium-containing water. Based on the scientific facts, the degree of contamination may be reduced by irradiating the surface with microwaves to vaporize water, while extracting water vapor from the surface region through a dust filter and a water trap. This method can reduce the radioactivity, but still there is a little risk that people around Jeju Island can hurt by the contaminated water. In this case, regarding possibility of risk as low or high is one's truth. So Japan's authorities are put in situation making decision whether they are going to take a risk or continuing stopping discharge of tritium. As a Korean, I suggest to them that there will be no more discharge of tritium containing water. Furthermore, suggest to find out new solutions such as how to change tritium into sustainable energy source to solve TINA system, which is diluting toxic compounds by letting people know this issue through media, which is Parasia's role. Also, I emphasize both Korea and Japan have to purify their two opposite positions against discharging tritium issue as a human in modernity. This is the summary of my letter, and thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much, Kim Mingong. Thank you, great job. Next presenter is KTY, right? KTY.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead.
I think dumping radioactive water into the sea must be reconsidered for the following reasons. Firstly, the claims that diluted tritium is safe is a matter of truth, not fact. We have different beliefs, so the level of safety you claim may differ from the level of safety we acknowledge. However, it is wrong to express this as fact. Fact and truth should be distinguished. Secondly, I wonder if there was any alternative than releasing contaminated water. This incident is crisis, not danger, because you can select, but you are acting as there is no alternative. TINA interferes with your flexible thinking. If you overcome TINA through idle talk with public, you may be able to come up with a better answer. Third, we need to communicate. Living in a hyper-network society, we are more connected than ever. Communication is essential for developing our systems and becoming trusted peers. However, it seems that your decision is progressing without sufficient communication. If we communicate with us a little more, we can make a better system. Finally, you must consider the complexity of nature. We have a behavior of distinguishing human and nature, but in fact, it cannot be distinguished. We cannot know all information about nature of contaminated water, so you should not convince the safety of the discharge. If problems arise due to the discharge, it will have negative effect on us again. You can choose the future whether you are smart people or thinking people. I hope you are thinking people and make a better future. You should reconsider realizing it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Kang Tae-up. Thank you, great job. You touched a little about the importance and significance as well. Thank you. Next presenter is K1 RJ8TK, right?
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'll start the presentation.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jiwan Kim. I have opposite position against the decision of Japanese government. Let me explain the reason scientifically. It's fact that tritium has bad effect in humans. However, it's not fact that tritium has little bad effect, and it would rather be truth. So the Japanese government must reconsider their decision regarding denial of its suggestion that tritium is harmless. Additionally, Japanese government should care and concern more things than they thought. Before the decision, they should have concerned nature. They should not separate nature from human beings. They need purification. They should also concern the system we live in and the probably harmful effect on people, of course, not only Japanese. Furthermore, they should have considered negative recognition for the decision. People would not see positively the policy because they did not carefully concern the probably harmful effect on people. Once they release the tritium, then there would be no alternative other than just waiting tritium naturally decreases. Regarding the negative recognition, they would be faced with crisis that negative is hard to change positive. Japanese government should consider many things I mentioned to make better decisions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nice presentation. Thank you. Next presenter would be KYKYUNG, right?
Yes, Professor, can you hear me?
Okay, I can. So a little bit louder. Thank you.
Oh, is that okay?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, this is the presenter Youngjang Kim. I read Japanese decision to release radioactive wastewater to the ocean, and I found it hard to believe their truth that claims it will be safe through care. The tritium in wastewater does not disappear after purification. It pollutes the ocean and affects the creatures and human body. So the plan to dilute contaminated water into the sea is a great risk to nature and to humans as well. From Japan's point of view, the discharging of radioactive wastewater into the ocean may be considered as TINA, but more positive ways can be devised throughout social and national systems. And Japan has not delivered detailed information on when they are going to release and exactly what experiments have demonstrated its safety. The contaminated water released from Japan reaches Korea within 6 months, then all the nature and life in Korea will be affected. Like this, the damage of the wastewater will be affected by the surrounding countries, and there seems to be no proper counterplan yet. So more clear and objective data must be supported, and through communication with neighboring countries, they can arrive at appropriate methods. I know that nuclear power is now essential to Japan's system, and dealing with radioactive elements is a big assignment left in Japan. But this crisis has some other solutions, and I do not agree their decision is the best way. Through communication and capacity to think, Japan can get out of this crisis in more advanced way. Thanks for listening.
Okay, thank you. Great work. Great job. Thank you. Next presenter would be LJK Son, right?
Me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Jingu, and I will talk about the decision of Japanese government to dispose of radioactive water to the ocean. I concern their decision, but actually I agree with their decision if they keep their disposal plan. Japanese government say that they should keep criteria of IAEA suggested. The fact is, the criteria of IAEA suggested is lower level than naturally existing radioactive level. So my truth is that it is safe for human. And also US government agree with Japanese government's decision if they keep that criteria. This is very important because due to the ocean current flow, US can get more damage than Korea. So therefore, the most important thing of my opinion is whether Japanese government keep their disposal plan or not. So we need make monitoring system about treated and releasing radioactive water. To make this monitoring system, we should translate it into easy word and make issue. Then after many people know and accept these issues, it can have tranquility. And it can have power to make strong monitoring system. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Great job. Now again, you can take and pick one item among possible logical and ideal matters, but during presentation, if you feel a different aspect to evaluate your colleagues with respect to their presentations, you can do more than once. Okay, once. So one time giving this evaluation to your colleagues is obligations. So most needed, but more than once is welcome. Okay. Next presenter is Min SH, right? Min SH.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sahyamin. As I wrote this letter, I tried to convey the following words. First, I convey that I want Japan to recognize that this is a crisis and make a more careful decision. Therefore, I emphasized various risks that occur by releasing wastewater into the sea. And I thought Japan has the problem of separating nature from human, so I recommended that they have to solve the problem after abandon the modernity habit. Secondly, I talk about Japan's action for persuading people who oppose releasing wastewater, like me. I recommended that the fact be delivered transparently, not truth, which was interpreted in favor of Japan. In particular, I emphasized that 70% of purified wastewater, which is said to be clean in Japan, exceeds the standard level. And I said that wastewater will affect the world's nature, so Japan should work with objectivity national institutions. Lastly, I recommended breaking the framework and considering other measures if Japan sees this situation as TINA. I think wastewater will greatly impact both human and nature in the future, and it will be difficult to change the environment built by current judgment. Therefore, we should try to think more, and especially Japan, which is in the position to concern, should make the more careful judgment. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much for your nice presentation. Thank you. Next presenter is Nora. Nora?
Hello, guys. Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello, everyone, one more time. My name is Elena Kubiva, and I was writing a letter to Japan for them to cancel the release of wastewaters. So I named my letter as a safeguarding letter. Why? Because I was imagining that I was representing the UNIST Science Humanities Association. So I was going to tell Japan that the main reason why we're asking for immediate safeguarding changes for this particular matter is because the radioactive wastes are extremely harmful to the water resources, to the humans also, but if it is harmful for the humans, then it is of course harmful for the sea creatures and sea habitats also, and we should protect them. If Japan will continue the release, it will cause a crisis-like situation, and we believe that it's fully impossible to recover the radioactive wastes, and the fact that tritium cannot be treated from them also shows that modern technology is not yet available to recover all of the wastes. Since it has not been approved that that huge amount of tritium in wastes is not harmful for people, we don't want the wastewater to be released. And then, of course, I mentioned that the social barrier TINA is not possible to be undone. And in the end, I mentioned that the UNIST Science Humanities Association would take some legal actions if Japan does not stop their decision. Thank you so much. This was my presentation.
Okay, great job. Thank you. Iliandora, right? Is that right? Pronunciation? Thank you. Okay, next presenter would be PSH. PSH is there?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What choice should the Japanese government make in dealing with wastewater from Fukushima nuclear power plant? In order for Japan to release wastewater into the sea, Japan will have to persuade Korea because Jeju and the eastern coast of Korea will be affected a few months later. According to Japan's wastewater discharge plan, the concentration of tritium contained in wastewater to be discharged annually meets international standards. Therefore, there is no reason why Japan cannot persuade Korea. However, the opinion of public is different, I think. The public is interested in wastewater itself and opposes discharging it into the sea. Therefore, it will not be easy for Japan to persuade the public of Korea. However, if Japan cannot persuade the public, wastewater should not be discharged into the sea. If the public cannot be persuaded, Japan has to think of alternatives. The first way is to purify wastewater enough, then process it with this drinking water and consume it in Japan. However, this would not be an ideal way because there would be strong opposition from Japanese people and there would be a risk of unexpected problems in the future. The second way is to use wastewater as a coolant in thermal power plants. Radioactive materials in wastewater should be removed sufficiently because the coolant is released in the form of steam after completing its role. Also, sufficient research should be done on the availability of wastewater. While this method is expected to be costly and time-consuming, it could be a fairly good way to deal with wastewater without any conflict with other countries. Japan will have to make a wise decision in the future. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Great job. Thank you. Next presenter would be SSCY. SSCY.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jiwan Cho, and the title of letter is Must Be a Thinker. I strongly oppose Japan's release of radioactive wastewater into the sea. First, Japanese government is insisting on truth, not fact. Tritium has unstable properties, and when it meets water, it attempts to return to stable state, which releases radiation. In addition, it is fact that the half-life of tritium is 12 years, but it is true that it disappears quickly. Second, discharging wastewater into the sea is driving its citizens into crisis. In modernity, we were doing segregation, humans and nature, but purification allows us to think, eventually concern both human and nature. Even if the wastewater is really well filtered, consumers will distrust it because they care passionately for itself. In the end, the damage is borne by fishermen who are civilians. Finally, the problem of wastewater treatment is not TINA. I assert that by sending wastewater out to sea, it will be incomparably less than the cost of suffering civilians will have to bear in the future. If humans start to suffer from the current misjudgment, it will be TINA from then on. The Japanese government does not separate between nature and humans, but try to be concerned beyond care with purification eyes. I hope that they will also improve a capacity of think and become a thinker who considers needing, not just wanting smarter. As a thinker, it should be a government that cares for its people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Great job. Great presentation. Thank you. Next presenter is TKA KRNL. Is there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
And I will present on my midterm issue, which title is any alternative expansion from world to ecology? You can easily know that the enormous articles which show the level of tritium in Fukushima wastewater is similar to waste amount of East Asia. However, other articles show that radioactive components like cesium are not sufficiently purified in Fukushima. These things are all fact. So, in terms of safety, how can we say that in presence of enormous truth? Safety will be defined by the complexity of nature. So we can exactly understand of nature's complexity, which defines safety in concept of totality and probability. Value neutrality in the research process is necessary, but what about as a scientist? There are so many truths based on facts. Why do we still believe that value neutral science will solve everything? Let's back to case of Fukushima. Is it compatible in Tina of economic growth and remaining radioactive wastewater? Maybe it is impossible. When we escape from Tina of economical growth, value neutrality, and smart as capitalistic human, we can finally put up with the risk and solve it as thinking environmental human. In fact, there are many research papers which show that the diamond battery and microorganism has possibility to radioactive isotopes as energy sources. It makes sense that humans are at the center and affect the surrounding nature, but we are not the center, actually. Many of nature's organisms are intertwined like nets, none of which are central. We have to think the radioactive elements can not only induce risk of returning to us, but also harm the relationship between humans and animals, furthermore, animals and plants. At this time, science will be the mean to change the relationship of nature into the language we use, and that will be the way to achieve the world of Gaia, which Lovelock talks about. Thank you.
Okay, great. Great presentation. Thank you. Next presenter would be WLDS. Is it there?
Yes, Professor.
Go ahead.
Yes. Hello, I am Jiwan. I am opposite the Japanese plan about releasing radioactive wastewater into the ocean. I want to talk scientifically about the reason. In the nature of the Fukushima earthquake, Japan made a lot of efforts to overcome it. But a crisis occurs because the storage tank of wastewater will be filled up in 2022. This is why Japan decided to release wastewater into the ocean. However, we should concern about the tritium in radioactive wastewater. The Japanese government and some scientists argue the truth that it is safe because it will dilute and it has a short half-life. But that is just the truth, and I think just the safety of the people should be guaranteed by fact. Also, even if we release it into the ocean, it will only create immediate convenience, and it is highly likely that the damage will suffer in the future. So, discharging wastewater is not an appropriate alternative. The Japanese government should create a communities profit code in the policy system. To do so, we need to do purification of society and nature, not segregation in modernity. It would be nice if Japanese government have a good capacity to think which things society and nature's wanting and needing. I hope we can overcome the current crisis by concern and thinking and communication with the public and people around the world. Thank you for your listening.
Okay, great presentation. Thank you. Good job. Next presenter is WOC JQ.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello everyone, I'm Jaeweon Kim. I'm negative position about the Japanese government's plan to release nuclear wastewater. The reason is as follows. First, it is the specificity of the Fukushima nuclear power plant. Fukushima plant has experience of melting and rehardening nuclear materials once in the past. This reintegrated nuclear method will require application of new radioactive measures different from the normal nuclear plant as unpurified nuclear materials leak to the outside. In addition, unlike Japan's experiment of discharging nuclear wastewater in clean water, the retest must be carried out in accordance with the actual release of contaminated water because it actually discharges wastewater into the sea. Another reason is that there is no precedent like Fukushima so far. The radiation dose of contaminated water emitted by Wolfson nuclear power plant in Korea is around 13.2 BP per liter, but the estimated radiation dose of contaminated water emitted from Fukushima is 1,500 BP per liter. Since radiation levels have never release so much contaminated water. Unexpected side effects can occur even if scientifically proven safe. Finally, emission of contaminated water should only be considered if storage is inevitable in the country. However, since tritium has only a half-life of 12.3 years, keeping contaminated water in Japan for another 30 years eliminates more than 80% of tritium. For this reason, I am opposite to contaminated water emission. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good. Next presenter is our last presenter, right? So YSJ, is there you?
I'm here, Professor.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Let's start. First, I started a letter saying that many people care about the decision to discharge radioactive water into the ocean. There were hidden facts behind the revealed facts, and I suggested that the truth that each person believes vary. The Japanese government made the problem of polluted water treatment into TINA that there is no alternative, and there were people concerned about it. People have different values and rules while communicating with each country as a system in the enormous environment of the world. So if we interact with various people through ideal talk, they can find a more efficient alternative, I explained. Among them, I proposed Greenpeace's ideal talk as an alternative. It is a method of continuously treating and purifying contaminated water through long-term storage. Furthermore, I explained why this alternative is valuable based on the relationship between science and humans. First, this alternative is the process of purifying what humans have translated. As such, it is valuable because it shows the modernization of humans. Second, the alternative has a socially contributing character that can attain happiness and survival, which is human nature. Therefore, it is valuable in the long run because it will positively change society. Finally, I ended my persuasion with this request. As a moral person with capacity to think, I hope to see the world out of your addictive frame. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Okay, Yoon So-jung, that's great. I enjoy it. Thank you. And students, is there any students who did not present yet? Anyone? Please tell me, let me know. Everyone did, right? And then we did these types of evaluation way to evaluate mutually, to show other persons your not exactly evaluations, to give you a feeling and sense or the certain knowledge to your colleagues, so that your colleagues recognize and realize what they have, what they need to change, what would like to the targeting as well, and together with us, together with the colleagues. So I'm not sure exactly what we have this one in terms of consequences out of this evaluation technique, but at least we are trying to, because otherwise we only stick to grade and ranking out of education systems with respect to evaluation, the system from one direction, so from teacher to students. So I'd like to change. I'd like to face with obstacles, so against which I'd like to deliver new forms of evaluating the mutually, but it should be working, targeting to new horizons in education system. So we've been discussing about the systems and education, but we need to develop some ways to evaluate in terms of code, in terms of delivering to. We are going to discuss in a couple of weeks with the sign, right? The sign may include the grade and degree, sometimes money. We are going to touch that in a few weeks as well. So, okay, so in summary, I'd like to give you some chances to evaluate yourself, your colleagues, and then in return, give us new horizons. With hope, we can change our education system and evaluation system as well, because we suffering from many frames, many rigid regulations, the law, okay, in terms of a frame and norms, and sometimes in the name of morality and ethics, we have to follow by force, by government, by institution like UNIST and university. So you, once again, new generations, in the name of digital generations, so you have a new tools and science. So we are going to experience sometimes micro singularity, right? As we've been discussing that as well. So under digital society, we are changing already, but we are going to be independent each other, but connected supernaturally. So under the name of complex of nature. So that's why we would like to convince whether or not you agree or oppose Japanese decisions, whether or not you agree or you oppose, but we would like to convince or deliver our opinion, your opinion to them with the name of a complexity of nature. We understand nature. We are not going to control our nature on our own with the levels of one individual, one government, one nation, even if they are strong, like the US and Japan. But they have to understand nature of the complex of nature. Okay, that's our message, our targeting. So we are going to be beings and existence, the individuals and the community, together with each other, to be connected under digital society with a new order to be formed during our communication under the system with a certain environment. That's okay. Sorry, and that's the purpose to give you this opportunity for us to have these types of opportunity to exchange our feeling and sense and knowledge as well. And then, of course, we have limitations with these types of evaluations. But with the Zoom and other, of course, we have to acknowledge difficult situations under COVID-19 pandemic situations. But so we are doing our best, right? So you are doing your best, I'm doing my best to exchange our understanding for the future, right? And we are doing best to interpret the present situation, interpretations targeting to the present, but understanding to the future. So that's why we select this one. And please understand, even if you are not content with these types of evaluation and presentation, but so please understand, and I'm doing my best. So I developed this one with the help of the developer of these types of app and web design. So together with other tools with the name of Street Smart. This is a signage and types of that. So I'm doing my best. So even if you are not happy about this, Okay, so so this is it today. So after this class, please send me your evaluation table. So with the statistics, with the data of data in total you gave and you received. Okay, any questions about this? So once again, your presentation very nice. So I enjoy a lot. So even under very difficult situation and conditions under these types of Zoom, and we have almost 40 the students, it's not easy to communicate each other. So that's why I selected these types. But you did a great job, and I enjoy it. And thank you for using this type of evaluation too. Thank you for giving me your final result of evaluation. Okay, thank you very much. Ileana, thank you. Eleonora, thank you. And any questions? The next week, we are going to discuss about automatic society. So after anthropogenic era, so we experienced that under climate change, disaster, crisis, emergency, the danger, whatever that is, depending on your definitions. We are discussing the new world because we are living in automatic society. So we are discussing that. Okay. So I'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you very much. Good day. Thank you.